What is going on, everyone? My name is Under the Radar, and welcome back to the PPL Team Builders. Now, last week we are coming off, spoiler alert, I'll give you a couple seconds if you hadn't watched last week, we are coming off of a massive victory off of Necrostevo. It wasn't the biggest differential, however, it was a big starting game for me, just because Necrostevo is someone that I look up to as a battler, and to beat him is really awesome in week 1, because he's very talented in the game. Week 2. Doesn't get any easier at all. This week we are facing ShroomRaver of, I really don't know how to properly say his team name. I'm going to say Parasect Germain, but I'm pretty sure from the way I've heard Shady say it, it's like Germain. I don't know if that's, I'm not sure. No idea. But Shroom is easily one of, if not the most unique players in the PPL. He comes up with sets that nobody would ever really think of. For example, last week he ran Air Balloon Hitmontop to switch in on Crocodile, so that just goes to show right there that he's very innovative and not afraid to basically do anything. Going into that with me playing him is very scary. Since I already mentioned some of his team, let's just go ahead and talk about his entire team. He has Excadrill, Mega Venusaur, Florges, Hitmontop, Greninja, Tyrantrum, Electros, Torkoal, Meloetta, Misdreavus, and Ninjask. So, right off the bat, let's take a look at some of the biggest threats to my team. Tyrantrum, don't have a switch in. If he somehow baton passes speed from Ninjask or Sword Stance baton pass Ninjask into his Tyrantrum, I lose the game 110%. Excadrill, not the biggest threat to the team, however it's still a pretty big threat just because, you know, it's an Excadrill and very ow. Mega Venusaur is fat, so it's not the most offensively threatening Pokemon in the world. However, I still have to play around it pretty well because it is a mon that I have to put a lot of pressure on in order to beat it 1v1. Florges is another mon that is not, well, it's not a mon that's a threat. It's something that I don't think he'll bring because I have so many answers to fairy types on my team. I have Mega Scizor with Bullet Punch, I have Nidoking with like Poison Jab or Sludge Wave, and I have Torn with like U-Turn and Sludge Wave and things like that to get really good chip damage off on it, along with things like Kingdra that get Flash Cannon, Iron Head. I have Kabutops that can hurt it pretty badly. I don't think Florges is coming. Greninja is a very big threat for my team. I don't have many switch-ins to it. I could bring like Spadef Politoed, however that leaves me very susceptible to Mega Venusaur coming in for free pretty much every single time, and then I have to take a hit from it, and I don't really want to be taking repeated Sludge Bombs from it or Giga Drains from it, so that kind of sort of sucks. Electros is another pretty big threat, honestly, just because I don't have ways of just one-shotting it. It's very hard to one-shot Electros, especially for my team, just because I don't have a lot of immediate offensive threats. Like, I have a Nidoking that can hit it very hard with, like, if he's not Assault Vest, like Sludge Wave, but if he is Assault Vest, I have to rely on Poison Jab, which can hit it a little bit harder, but it's like, he can go for something like, I'm trying to think. Like, he can knock off my Life Orb, he can Super Fang me to take me down to a lot, like, low health. There's a lot that it can do, and it's just very fat for the team in general for me to take down. The last couple mons on this team, Torkoal, Meloetta, Misdreavus, and Mismagius, they're not the biggest threats. However, I do think either Misdreavus or Ninjask is coming, maybe both, but might be one or the other. If I had to predict the 6 that he would bring, I would assume that he would bring Excadrill, Mega Venusaur, Greninja, Tyrantrum, Electros, and then one of the bottom 2 mons in Ninjask or Misdreavus. Misdreavus could be a threat if it's like Perish Trap, or like Mean Looking Parasong, that could be a threat if he like leads off with it, and that could be something that I have to watch out for. If I do see Misdreavus, I kind of want to lead with one of my U-Turners just to make sure I can't Perish Trap something from the very beginning. But that's basically what I think of his team. I think it's a very well-constructed team. It's a very Shroom team, and I like it a lot. However, let's go ahead and take a look at the team that I am bringing. Give me just 2 secondaroonies to open up my sets. I don't really feel like editing all this out. Okay, so basically, looking at his team, I knew that there was something I had to do right away, and that was get up hazards against him. I have to get up Stealth Rocks. I have to get up some type of hazards against him to wear his team down. If I can pressure his team into not being able to switch in for free every single time, or if I can pressure his team into not being able to just make free switches basically whenever he wants, that would be awesome. So that means that the first thing that I am bringing is my Miltank. I'm bringing a Fizz Def Miltank with Stealth Rocks, Body Slam, Milk Drink, and Earthquake. I'm also bringing the Scrappy ability. I'm not sure if I changed the layout or not, but I'm bringing the Scrappy ability just so I can hit that Misdreavus. I don't really need Thick Fat because this isn't going to be a switch into anything that can really go for an Ice or Fire type move. So I don't really have to worry about that too much. So because I have Scrappy, I'm now able to hit the Misdreavus, and I'm able to get off some Body Slams on to maybe paralyze it, slow it down, and ensure that everything on my team can outspeed it no matter what, and that's pretty important. Stealth Rocks, as I said, are very important for chipping down his team. Things like the Tyrantrum, after it takes like 2 Stealth Rock hits, no matter what set it is, I can kill it, and not with this, but with another mon that I'll be going into later on in the team builder. But it's very important to have rocks up. Now, I'm running Fizz Def because it's literally my only switch into Excadrill. If he brings Choice Scarf, it can't 3-hit KO me with Earthquake. I can barely live a 3 Earthquakes. If Stealth Rocks are up, I cannot, but that means I can Milk Drink up on it, and I can Earthquake it, wear it down out of Earthquakes, and I can get some good chip damage off on the rest of his team. I can also live 1 Choice Scarfed or 1 Adamant Life Orb Head Smash from Tyrantrum. However, if this thing is boosted in any sort of fashion from the Ninjask, I cannot, and I'm screwed. So, the whole thing I'm building this entire team around, I cannot let Tyrantrum set up, and I cannot let Ninjask set up for free. If this thing is in against a Ninjask, and Ninjask is like, okay, I'm going to set up on his Miltank because it's the easiest thing for me to set up on, I have to be ballsy. I have to click Earthquake. Once he sets up like a Swords Dance, if he sets up Speed, I can still deal with it because I have things that can live hits and I can go from there. But if he sets up Speed plus a Swords Dance, I have to play ballsy. I have to go for Earthquake literally every single time to ensure that it's not able to switch in for free. It does about an easy 25% or so. So with that, I have to make sure that I'm able to pressure the Ninjask to not set up with Speed Boost and Swords Dance against this thing for the Tyrantrum alone. This thing is also a pretty good stop to his, shoot. What was I about to say? It's a pretty good stop to his, Misdreavus if it is not the Paris Trap. I'm able to Body Slam, Paralyze, and I'm able to set up my rocks on it, and I'm able to Milk Drink up and basically beat it 1v1, and that's awesome. I really like that. But that's basically the Miltank. It's there mainly to pressure the Tyrantrum, the Ninjask, and the Excadrill from not being able to set up and sweep me. The next mon on the team I kind of knew had to come from the start just because it has an insanely good matchup because Shroom's team doesn't handle its 2 stabs well, and that is my Kabutops. Old Man Tops has finally come into a game after only 1 week, so that makes me happy. But his team, in general, does not like rock plus water stab. For example, nothing on his team resists both of them. Absolutely nothing. So, if he brings a slower team, like let's say he brings Mega Venusaur, Florges, Tyrantrum, Electros, Misdreavus, and Ninjask. Let's say those are the 6 he brings. He doesn't bring Greninja, or he doesn't bring Excadrill, or anything like that, and it's a late game and everything is whittled down. This thing actually has the potential to beat every single one of them 1v1. Venusaur isn't a really safe switch in because I am Jolly Life Orb. Stone Edge does a good amount of damage. It does about 30 some odd %. So if I have a weekend, if I'm able to successfully pressure it enough to where it can't set up in my, or it can't just sit there, be fat, and whittle my entire team down, then I should be pretty good to go. Knockoff is there specifically for the Misdreavus. It's also there somewhat because if this thing is low and I'm in against the Electros and I'm like, okay, all I have left are special attackers, I need to knock off the thing's Assault Vest so I can kill it. I can knock it off and I can get rid of its Assault Vest, and it'll make it a little bit easier to kill with some things that I have later on in the team builder. Aqua Jet. Aqua Jet is very specific. So, again, I'm going back to the Tyrantrum because it is the biggest threat to my team. I'm fully 120,000% expecting him to bring Babiri Berry Tyrantrum. If he brings anything else aside from Babiri Berry Tyrantrum, I'm worried for Shroom because it's the best set he can possibly bring. So The reason why Aqua Jet is important, because if I have my Mega Scizor, if I bring it this week, but Berry, Bullet Punch, one Earthquake from Miltank, and an Aqua Jet, guarantee kill it, no matter what. So that's what I was talking about earlier, that I need to play it hard. I need to make sure, like, I need to play my Miltank very safe. I need to make sure that whenever he's setting up with his Ninjask, I need to ensure that I click Earthquake with it until he baton passes into his Tyrantrum, or until he baton passes into something else, to ensure that he does not get the whatchamacallit, the boosts to Tyrantrum. Same thing with Excadrill. Water, Aqua Jet does a lot of damage to Excadrill, unless he's like Pasho Berry. It does like 60 some odd %, and that's really awesome. Sorry, I just got a message that kind of sort of startled me. Along with Florges not being able to take Waterfalls or Stone Edges, and it also makes it a lot easier for me to kill Electros with this specific Kabutops set, because I'm able to easily 2-KO with Stone Edge. If he's taken like 2 Stealth Rock hits, I can easily kill it with Waterfall from my Electros, or from my Kabutops on his Electros, so that's really important. I've rambled on enough about Electros and how big of a win I've rambled on enough about Kabutops and how big of a win condition it is. So let's just go ahead and move on to the next mon, which is my Tornadus. Now, this Tornadus set is actually very, very awesome against his team, because his speed tiers are so freaking weird. He has Greninja at base 123, so he outspeeds my Tornadus. The next fastest thing, well, I'm sorry, he has Ninjask at like base 160. Then Greninja at base like 123, and then he has Meloetta base 90, then Excadrill, Misdreavus, Tyrantrum. So it makes a massive jump from 123 to base 90. So I can run Modest Tornadus, and that is absolutely amazing. I'm able to run Air Slash, Sludge Wave, Grass Knot, and U-Turn. Originally, I had Superpower on this thing specifically to hit Electros. The more I was playing with it, the more I realized that Air Slash did a good amount of damage to Electros as it is, and so did Sludge Wave, even through the Assault Vest. And because I was like a minus attack nature, I couldn't afford to drop either one of my other defenses because I needed to live hits. Running Superpower was kind of sort of useless, to where if I run Grass Knot and he is a Life Orb Tyrantrum, I'm able to outspeed it. If he is something like a Life Orb Excadrill, I'm able to outspeed it and hit it with a Grass Knot and do a massive amount of damage to it that way. His only resistances to Air Slash are Excadrill, Tyrantrum, Electros. Because of that, I know his switch-ins. I know specifically he is going to go into one of them. I need to pressure all 3 of them from the very beginning of the game. Since I have to do that, if he brings in his Mega Venusaur, I can U-turn. 100% of the time, I can U-turn on it, go into something to pressure one of those, whittle it down, and make it much easier to win late game. So that's what this thing is here for, and that's why U-turn is going to be so important in this game. I really, really like it. Air Slash in general is just great for his entire team, because Mega Venusaur easily 2-KOs it, Hitmontop easily 2-KOs it, and just generally good stab against his team. The next mon on the team is actually something that I went back and forth with, and then I decided that its utility that it can provide for the team is actually much more important than what it actually does for the team. I'm bringing Togetic this week. Now, I've heard everybody say Togetic is trash in League format. I agree with you, it's not the best, but it's not trash, mainly because of what it can provide for this team specifically. I need to pressure him, right? I need to force him to not be able to do anything. That's why I'm running Baton Pass. This thing is a pretty decent switch into things like Hitmontop. It's a pretty decent switch into Greninja. I can live 2 Ice Beams if he's not Modest Ice Beam, which he has to be timid. Has to be. And I can live 2 Ice Beams. It's a pretty decent switch into Electros unless he knocks me off turn 1. It's a pretty decent switch into Meloetta. And Greninja and Hitmontop are instantly threatened out by this thing because of Dazzling Gleam. Since it's instantly threatened out, I can Baton Pass 110% of the time. And 110% of the time, I'll be able to gain Switch Initiative. Whatever he goes into, I can go into my way to chip it down. If he goes into Tyrantrum, which is stupid because Dazzling Gleam, but if he goes into something like Excadrill, I go into Miltank, I Earthquake, I chip. If he goes into his Mega Venusaur to take the Dazzling Gleam, I go into my Tornadus, I Air Slash, I chip. I get a lot of momentum specifically from Baton Pass, and that's why I think Togetic is more useful this game compared to a Water Absorb Politoed to try to wall out the Greninja, because Dark Pulse still does a metric shit ton to where Ice Beam is not stab. So Togetic plays a very specific role this game to bait in things to take extra Stealth Rock damage and get the heck out. That's what it's for, and that is very awesome. I love the fact that Togetic gets Baton Pass. A lot of people think of it as a wall that is setup fodder. Not this thing. This thing is specifically there to bait in things, get chip damage, go into one of my offensive mons, and kill something. The next to last mon on the team is going to be something that he, again, does not have very good switch-ins to both of its stabs, and that is actually going to be Celebi. Coming off the bench for the first week, we are bringing 3 new mons this week. I'm so happy. And I'm bringing a Choice Scarf Celebi this week. I'm bringing Psychic, Giga Drain, U-Turn, and Trick. I'm bringing enough speed to outspeed Meloetta, because that's all I need, because the speed tiers are a little weird. However, his resistances to everything that this thing can provide do not exist. The only thing he has that can relatively switch into this thing safely every single time is Florges. I don't think he's bringing Florges, so this thing is going to have a good time. Let's say for some odd reason he does bring Florges against a team that has a Nidoking and a Mega Scizor. I have Trick. He cannot Calm Mind Up on me, he cannot Wish Stall me, he cannot do anything against this Celebi set. I'll be able to trick its leftovers, I'll be able to switch out, I will still be able to outspeed something like Excadrill or Tyrantrum. Excadrill will have X-Scissor, I know it will, so I can't really do much to it if it is Choice Scarf, but that's why I plan to get good chip damage to figure out its spread, figure out its item, everything like that. I can still hit Hitmontop very hard, I can still hit Mega Venusaur really hard, I can still hit Greninja very hard, I can still hit Tyrantrum extremely hard. Everything I can hit very hard with this, aside from Florges and Assault Vest Electros. Because of that, it works very well against his team. I'm so excited to more or less be bringing I don't really know how to explain it. A Celebi set that is offensive that can put in work. Because a lot of times Celebi does a couple different things, like it sets up rocks, it U-turns, it pivots, it gets some good chip damage, but this thing is offensive. This thing is very offensive, and it can do a lot of work to his team, and that's awesome. If he doesn't bring Greninja, I outspeed everything on his team aside from Scarfed Greninja and Ninjask after a speed boost. I don't even think I outspeed Ninjask before a speed boost. But I can't leave this thing on Ninjask anyway because of U-turn or X's or something like that. But this thing works very well against his team. I love it. I love it so, so much. Even U-turn to Greninja, like if I bring this thing on Greninja, I don't have to click Giga Drain. U-turn does a lot of damage, just like 60 some odd % to Greninja. So if I bring this thing in on Greninja, I can still gain my momentum that way. The final mon on the team is a very, very, very awesome mon. I'm bringing offensive Mega Scizor. I'm bringing Adamant with enough speed to outspeed. I think it's 20 invested Mega Venusaur before Mega Evolving. So after Mega Evolving, he needs like 72 speed EVs to outspeed me. Don't think it's going to happen. If it does happen, he's offensive, and I have ways of dealing with offensive. I'm bringing Bullet Punch, U-turn, Aerial Ace, and Roost. Again, Mega Scizor is very crucial for this team. It gets a really good chip damage off on Greninja if it's weakened, Florges, Excadrill, Tyrantrum. I can do a lot of damage to the Ninjask. It can't Baton Pass out on me. And the biggest thing, this 2-hit KOs physically defensive Mega Venusaur after Stealth Rocks. That is why I need to pressure his entire team so freaking hard. If I'm able to pressure his team with Togetic, not allow Mega Venusaur to come in for free after 2 Stealth Rock hits, it easily dies to Aerial Ace, and with the 116 special defense EVs, I can live a Hidden Power Fire pretty easily from a defensive Mega Venusaur. It does, like, I think 83% maximum, so I can live it pretty easily, guarantee get off 2 Aerial Aces, well, at least guarantee get off 1 if he runs a lot of speed with some defense, which I doubt he's going to do. I can do a lot of work, pressure Mega Venusaur, pressure his Tyrantrum, and this is where the Bullet Punch plus Earthquake plus Aqua Jet really comes in. That's my guaranteed way of beating Tyrantrum no matter what. And overall, this thing puts in a lot of work against his team. Granted, I can't touch the Electros. at all, and that's scary. I would have liked to have something like knockoff or superpower or something for that, but I couldn't afford it. I can outspeed it, and I can U-turn on it, and I can go into my designated check for the time being, which will be my Togetic. But overall, this thing puts in a lot of work on his team, puts a massive hurting on Shroom's team. And if he doesn't play around it safely and I'm able to get the momentum and the initiative that I want, it will be able to just kind of run through the majority of his team. But that is basically the entire team. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure you leave a like down below. Also, make sure you go over to Shroom's channel because he's an absolutely amazing dude. I love the dude to death. And yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy. And look forward to the battle going up on Monday, a couple days from now. Tomorrow for you guys. But yeah, with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.